What's up guys, OTRAY here, and today I'm gonna show you how I made the drop from my latest track, My House. First, let's have a short listen.
Turn that shit on a hello.
Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom and work it up from there, since it's also the way I like to build my tracks. Let's start with the kick and bass. The kick is layered out of 3 kicks. Low kick, I think. Yes. I've shortened it using the LFO tour. It's also a trick I learned by John Christian, you can look it up somewhere on the internet. And I low cutted it with an EQ. Next is the mid-high, I think. Yes. It's a sampled kick. I cut off all the low frequencies since we don't need them anymore. And the last is some special kind of kick to give it some extra character. It's like a bit crushed, short, attacky thing, and together they sound like this. I think pretty decent. So then I grouped them and put an SSL channel on there. As you can see, I increased around the 2K range, about 3 dBs, so that it always, make sure with this that it always cuts through the mix. If I turn it off, it may sound a little extreme solo, but in the full mix it makes totally sense. So the next thing was the sub bass. I usually use the basic sign from Nexus, and this is how it sounds. Then you may wondering why this curve looks exactly like the one on the low kick. So this is the kick and this is the sub. And if you watch John Christian, or I will link it down in the description below. If you watch the tutorial, I didn't know that, but I was searching for it so long, but it was already there. So the kick has this kind of length. And to make 100% sure they're not interfering, you can invert the waveform on the LFO tour by changing its volume from 100 to -100. And together with the kick, they are never fighting, so they're really clean together, which is crucial for electronic dance music, I think. Okay. And all together I compressed it with an SSL bus comp, which I have a little preset made magic, you can copy it here, which I think always works. If you try this setting, make sure to get around 3 to 4 dB of gain reduction and you should be good to go. Just a general rule. Okay, next. Move on to the distorted bass, since this track is based on a action and response, or call or response, whatever you want to call it. This is the first, like, call bass. And then comes the response bass. Okay. To the distort bass we have just some sort of preset here, don't know where it came from, some saturation, some EQ and an LFO tour. To layer it up I use this sound here, which is also another preset, some saturation, some EQ, and what did I do here? Some parallel processing. Okay. Then they went into a bus where I just simply used the low cut on. For the response bass or the bounce bass we have this. which is kind of a bass housey wobber kind of thing. Saturation, EQ, you get the idea. Second bass for the hi-hat. Didn't really do much here. On the bass of this response bass I had just some simple EQ, and together with the kick they sound like this. Which I think gets the track really bouncy. So, next. Percussions, if you have it, just some standard EDM claps, some white noise, also some sweeps, some closed hi-hats, and some fills. Okay. Then in the second half of the drop we added some percussion to the claps to change it up a little bit. Clap wise not really much, some reverb, some compression, EQ and LFO. Okay, then we get into the fun part. First of all we have those, in my opinion, huge steps at every first beat of the beginning, bar I should say. It's a combination of two sounds, the first one and the second one, just some samples, kickstart and EQ. Okay, then let's go to the lead bass. The lead sounds like this. So I really was inspired by the Tujamo kind of tracks, and I wanted always to make one, so I think it turned out pretty good. First we have the pluck. Some presets, some OTT and some EQ. Next we have the main lead, which is kind of that Showtech mimicking thing we heard, although you can hear better said, we heard in the break beforehand. High lead. Okay. Okay, this is the ravey one. As you can see, I don't have much processing on them since, yeah, it just sounded good straight away. So then we have the mono lead, which is really important. As you can see, I made it completely mono here in the FabFilter Pro Q. By the way, if you would like to see a mid-side EQing tutorial, just leave a comment down below. And what I also like to get the Tujamo vibe really going is that press sound. Together they sound like this. And then to change it up a little bit for the bouncy response, I added this one, which is kinda those typical bounce leads you hear every time. Okay, to fill up the space even more, I added some sidechain crowd effects, which is really cheesy, but it just works. What can I say, guys? Okay. To also emphasize the bounce a little bit more, I added them hey shots. Hey, 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 hey. Okay. So guys, that was it for today. If you would like to see me breaking down the break or something else, or you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. See ya, OTRAY.